Peter hopped out of his burrow, eager and energetic as always. His siblings were still asleep, but Peter never needed a reason to wake early. Adventure lived in his blood. The morning air smelled like dew and freshness, and the distant farmers were already at work. Today, he planned to pick just enough vegetables to bring home for breakfast. Not too many, not too few. He'd promised his mother he would behave, but as he entered the carrot rows, something was strange. Dirt was overturned, leaves scattered, vegetables missing. Not bitten, not nibbled, vanished, as though scooped up in large paws. Someone was robbing the gardens. Peter's whiskers twitched. Of all the rabbits, he had the worst reputation when it came to borrowing vegetables, especially from Farmer Griggs. So if anyone discovered the theft, everyone would assume it was him. He swallowed hard. This wasn't trouble he wanted. Then he heard a rustle behind the garden walls. Peter peeked over the hedge and froze that a large, scruffy rabbit, older and worn, was stuffing radishes into a torn brown sack. His fur was matted, his ears torn, and his eyes looked tired. Not dangerous, but desperate. Peter had never seen him before. "Stop," Peter blurted. The older rabbit spun around, startled that Peter's voice was small but steady. "You're stealing. Everyone will think it's me." The stranger's expression shifted, not anger, but pain. "I didn't want to," he rasped. "But my children haven't eaten in 2 days." Peter stared at him. The weight of the moment pressed on his small shoulders. He could run. He could turn him in. He could pretend he never saw anything. But instead, he made the choice his heart whispered was right. "Come with me." Peter hopped forward. "There's another way." The older rabbit hesitated, mistrust and shame in his eyes, but something in Peter's sincerity convinced him. And together, quietly, they carried the radishes back to Peter's home. Inside, Mrs. Rabbit gasped but listened. She served tea as the stranger explained his story. His family had lost their burrow in a flood, their food was gone, and he had only stolen because he believed he had no choice left. Mrs. Rabbit placed a paw softly on his. "We help neighbors here. We don't shame them." For the first time, the older rabbit's eyes glistened with gratitude. Peter sat silently, suddenly proud and humbled. A new problem had appeared, but he knew now this story was bigger than radishes. The next morning, the meadow buzzed with panic. Farmer Griggs had discovered the missing radishes and hung a sign on the post. "Radish Robber, show yourself or all rabbits will pay." Every animal whispered nervously. Peter felt the guilt, even though he hadn't done anything wrong. The older rabbit, whose name was Rowan, begged to turn himself in. "No," Peter said firmly. "We fix this together." The situation became urgent. They had only a day before Farmer Griggs set traps across the garden. Rowan seemed ready to give up, but Peter wasn't. This wasn't just about vegetables anymore. It was about families, dignity, and helping someone who had been abandoned by luck. So Peter devised a daring plan, not a theft, but a return. He gathered Rowan and his family, along with his own siblings, and under the moonlight they harvested extra vegetables from a field Farmer Griggs kept for surplus stores. Not stolen, willingly left by nature every year. They slept only a few hours before dawn came. Peter stood with shaking paws as Rowan knocked on Farmer Griggs' cottage door. The farmer opened, eyes stern and suspicious. Rowan stepped forward, voice trembling. "These vegetables are for what was taken. I was desperate. I should have asked." Farmer Griggs studied him a long moment. No one breathed. Then the old farmer sighed. "A hungry parent does foolish things. I'll not punish honest truth." Peter almost collapsed with relief. The traps were never set. Rowan and his children were welcomed into a new burrow near Peter's home. And for the first time in a very long while, they slept with full bellies in peace. That evening, as the sky turned gold, Rowan sat beside Peter and said quietly, "You saved more than my family today. You saved me." Peter smiled. "You taught me something too. Everyone deserves a second chance." The wind whispered through the meadow grass, carrying the lesson farther than any radish could travel. Compassion is the greatest harvest anyone can grow. And the audience, having traveled through fear, tension, and triumph, could finally exhale, warmed by the simple truth that heroes aren't the ones who hoard what they have, but the ones who share it when it matters most.